When people feel like they are not getting their issues heard or represented in a period of time, and there is a shift in the possibility of changing administrations or candidates, people have a tendency to shift parties or shift to other individuals who may be running in the same party. We saw that, as you know, in 2008 with President Obama after President Bush. We saw that when Obama ran again. Some people who did not vote for him the first time voted for him the second time. Or people who did not vote for him, people who voted for President Bush, and this time around when Obama was running did not vote in the Republican Party. They voted in the Democratic Party because they wanted hope, they wanted change. So I think there are people in the black community who are feeling like not a lot has changed, especially economically in the black community, and I think many of them have been driven by that.
Dr. King, it's great to have you with us, and I appreciate the time that you're giving us today from Atlanta. We were in Atlanta for the Senate runoff that reestablished Raphael Warnock as the senator from Georgia, and I had the opportunity to walk around the King Center, spent time walking past that beautiful reflecting pool, and the people we spoke with that day talked about Joe Biden and Democrats, what they could do to help Georgia. Raphael Warnock, of course, was a big part of that conversation, and we're having a very different conversation at this point now. But you're there. What are you actually hearing from people? Do you believe these polls? Do you believe that Donald Trump is going to secure the black vote in 2024?
I don't know if it's a matter of a belief. I think there are many people concerned that that could be the case. And it's not speculation. I mean, especially black males who seem to be more attracted to Donald Trump and his candidacy. And I think there has to be a plan and a strategy for the Biden administration to really creatively figure out how to reach, especially this next generation who's very disgruntled right now. With the Biden administration. It's not going to be easy, unfortunately, but this probably is the most defining election of my time. You know, I've been here 61 years. I've been, voting for 45, somewhere around there, 44 years. So, it's an important election. And people have to be very thoughtful about how they want to see our nation move forward in the coming years and who is going to best represent that policy-wise and tone and tenor-wise, because it all goes together. Presidents set a tone in a nation, and that is, to me, just as important as the policy side. As we know, most of the policies are passed by Congress. They're running as well this year. So it has to be very thoughtful in the approach. And I'm not sure many people are being thoughtful at this time. Typically, people are led by, emotion. And we also have to be thoughtful globally. It can't just be about me, because I live collectively in community. It's about my neighbors. So I have to think about it holistically, about who would best represent us holistically as a nation, and also those very fundamental issues that affect the least among us.
Well, as we consider the issues and knowing that President Biden himself will actually be down in Georgia this weekend giving the commencement address at Morehouse, we have seen a lot of turmoil on college campuses lately. The issue of Israel and the ongoing war in Gaza is definitely one that seems to be shaping this election cycle, and especially given you and your family's legacy of peaceful protests. What do you make of what we have seen on campuses across the country that have not always been peaceful and, in fact, in many instances have turned violent?
Well, I think in all fairness, it has to be a balanced approach in how we talk about it. As with any protest, any movement, there's going to be people who infiltrate. It happened with my father. The difference, I think, in today's time is because there's not a real strategy that people are organizing around collectively with parameters and criteria, it's very difficult in a world where people can get information instantly to have those kind of regulations, but you have to, because otherwise what becomes a story is what you're saying. My father was able to guard against that. As you know, in Memphis, they had to pull him out right before he was assassinated. Shortly before he was assassinated, he led a protest there, and some people had infiltrated to turn it violent. And he had a track record of nonviolence, and that's important as well as we approach these. So, yes, that is true that there have been some, but I do want to applaud the young people who have not been violent, the ones who have been trying to press the message about what's happening to the Palestinians, and those who are pressing the message about Palestinians and freeing the hostages, because all of this is getting lost, because I think there are people out there who genuinely want a holistic approach to what's happening, and they want something that's humane and the saving of lives, period. And so that's not getting to the surface. And so I do not support the violence because I come from a place of nonviolence, but I do know that there are people out there who do have a posture of trying to do this in a peaceful way. And unfortunately, when people feel like their demands are not being heard, it often happens. That's when Daddy said you get the violence is the language of the unheard. So we have to look at why is this happening as well.
It's an awfully important line right now. Dr. King, Kailey mentions the speech at Morehouse, the commencement address by President Biden. That's not all we have on the schedule this week. On Thursday, tomorrow, he'll be meeting with plaintiffs from Brown versus the Board of Education case and their families. On Friday, he's speaking at an NAACP event and will address members of the Little Rock Nine, a campaign event on Saturday in Atlanta, and then Morehouse on Sunday. Dr. King, does being present like this help?
Well, if being present is consistent, yes. It's very difficult if people perceive your presence as being more political. And I think that's what a lot of people who are in elected office face. And that is, where are you in the middle, in the times in between? And I think people are experiencing that. They're showing up now, but what about those other times? Now, I'm not suggesting that that has not been the case with the administration. But if it is the case that you have been consistently present, then the messaging has to improve, and people need to know that you have, and those people who know you've been present need to be the voice saying, let me show you how they've been present. Here are the results. So the campaign can't speak. The people who have benefited from the administration, should I say, need to be speaking. Let me show you how this has impacted my life. This is what I have gotten from the Biden administration. So now is the time for the people who believe in this candidate, who believe in President Biden, because he's a candidate now, unfortunately. He's the president, but yet he's a candidate. So now the people who believe in what he's done as the president need to be speaking for him while he is the candidate and saying this is what he's done for our communities, our group with these issues.